Good evening. Most of the residents of High River have finally been able to return home. And now that major flooding in southern Alberta is mostly over, focus now turns to the cleanup effort. Hundreds of volunteers are coming from surrounding communities to help the town get back on its feet. And as Bart Pediasic reports, even some in the border city have rolled up their sleeves to join the effort.
It's amazing. It's pretty extensive. You know, we just by taking a drive down the street, you just see how bad it was when the water was at its worst. Boats pushed up against houses, railroad tracks that have been flipped sideways and look like fence posts, you know, just completely washed away.
Jason Whiting wouldn't have believed the amount of damage and seen it with his own eyes. The town of High River was the worst hit by the southern Alberta floods.
It's been well publicized that High River has had their issues down there, and through posts on Twitter from Premier Redford or Town of High River or any of those, you see the need and the request for volunteers to come out.
Whiting was just one of many volunteers that answered that call, but he wasn't the only one from the border city. Local members of the RCMP have been on the scene for the last 2 weeks.
Find anyone who is stranded or people who have been injured as a result of the flood, get them to their safety. That was for both the first week. Also to secure residences. There was people are out there looking to find pets.
Now that the water levels in High River have dropped back to normal, Corporal Cadoon says their job has changed.
And as of this past weekend, the mission turned from a search and recovery to security management for the town. The police were there to make sure that only residents were coming in, not what we were calling tourists who were coming just to take photos, making sure people's residences were safe, making sure that they weren't going to be looted.
As for Whiting, he says it'll be some time until things get back to normal. But the one thing the flood can't take away is the town spirit.
The house that I helped out with, their morales were high. They were smiley. I think most people understand that this was something that they just have to get past and move on from. And so the people morales were good. I was quite pleased by how everybody is coming out of this.
Bart Pediasic, Newcap News.
More than 1,000 people from around the region are expected to gather south of Lloydminster this weekend. Sports Days in Edgerton is the biggest event the small town holds every year. The fair downtown, tractor pulls, agricultural show, and Bullarama are just a few of the activities packed into the 3-day event. Annika Notfate has more.
Kim Hummel rides her horse in anticipation for the barrel racing and pole bending competitions. She's been coming with her kids and husband to sport days for over 3 years. But for her horse Bailey, Hummel says it's her first time.
This horse is inexperienced. She's never been to anything with this much commotion, so it'll be good for her to learn. So I'm seasoning her is what you call that, taking her and exposing her to the atmospheres.
But the pair is very familiar with the sport of barrel racing.
A cloverleaf pattern, you turn 3 barrels as fast as you can. Winner takes all, I guess.
Activities at the Sports Days event aren't limited to horses, cows, and the riding ring. Staff say they added 2 new activities to the weekend.
We brought a monster truck in for the kids' rides and stuff, and trick riders before the wagons here tonight.
Dodd says the weekend is good for the town, and volunteers make the event happen.
And good, it's getting bigger and better every year, and without the people that do come out and help to put it on, we wouldn't be able to do it.
John Clark organized Bullarama, a very popular event that was held last night. He also says there's more to come.
There's still barrel racing and that, and wagons and chariots tomorrow.
And you can't forget to buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks at the old ball game. And for this young man, the baseball tournament is one of his favorite parts of the fair.
I'll come back next year, and every other year that I'm around here, I'll for surely come back.
After racing, Hummel's excited to take on the rest of the weekend.
I like watching the chuck wagons, the pony chuck wagons. My kids like it. They don't get to see it very often, so I enjoy watching that tonight.
Annika Notfate, Newcap News.
Now it's time for our first look at sports, and we're starting things off with a little rugby.
Yeah, the women's Reapers rugby team was down in Calgary today for the Stampede 7 tournament, while the men had a game last night. So let's take a look at how the ladies fared down south. The first game wasn't stellar as they were thumped 37-zip by the Regina Rogues. The Reapers had a much better effort in their second outing of the day, though. They were able to score 15 points, but fall 22-15 to the Calgary Saints in a close one. The third and final game of the day resulted in another loss to a Calgary team. It was a 30-12 final for the Saracens. The Reapers go winless today, but I had a chat with one of the players, and it sounds like they had a good time nonetheless. Now, next Saturday, the ladies will make the trip to Regina for a date with the Corinne. And as I mentioned, the men had a game on Friday night, and things didn't go exactly as planned for Lloydminster. They were able to score a pair of tries, but could not contain the Wild Oats A. Saskatoon put 34 points up on the board to cruise to the 34-12 win. The Reapers will hope for a better turnout in 2 weeks when they welcome the Wild Oats B to the border city. After a two-week hiatus, the Vandals are looking to get back on the winning track tonight in St. Albert. With a 1-3 record, Lloydminster currently sits second last in the Alberta Football League and will be in tough against the 2-1 Stars. The Vandals only have 3 games left in the regular season and will pretty much need to run the table if they want any shot at making the postseason dance. Tonight's game gets underway at 7 o'clock. It was a battle of the league's top 2 scoring teams as the Xtreme and Rebels went head-to-head in Kitscoty today. The Xtreme have lit the lamp 156 times, while the Rebels have found twine on 163 occasions. And this game had some goals, but mostly on the Rebels side of things. They come away with a 15-7 win. The Xtreme played this game with a very short bench due to all the other stuff that's been going on, and only really had 2 lines all game. It's just their 3rd loss of the season, and they'll look to turn things around next week when they play against the Lakeland Heat.